So bro paid for autofocus on a manual focus lens. They make autofocus lenses.
No, bro, they're not as good. What's up, YouTube? It's Ethan Adams here with Adams Media, and I'm here to answer one of the most frequently asked questions in my Instagram DMs, and is, what even is your gimbal setup? And that question I have to ask myself a lot, actually, because this thing, as much as it is a Frankenstein, it also is a solo creator beast. So let's hop right into it. I'd like to start off by saying that none of these products sponsor me. Just so you guys know, I have no bias towards any of these products. I'm gonna give a very honest review on this gimbal setup. So let's jump right into it. So let's start off with the actual camera. I'm running a Sony FX3 with a Nisi Athena Prime 50 on there, and I love it. I love this combo. I love cinema glass. I'm starting to get into it, and I just love how they behave. I love the lens flares. I love the drop-in filter set. You're able to drop in an ND and throw a CPL on the end. Amazing lens kit. I'm really excited to invest more money into some different lenses, maybe a 35 and a 135 down the road. Of course, I have a cage for the camera. This makes it so I can do dual screws on the actual gimbal plate, and that is super necessary for what I do because I end up doing a lot of fast whipping movements for rollers and whatnot when I'm filming motorcycles, and if you have just one screw in there, it's pretty likely it's going to come undone due to the wind resistance or just actually moving the camera around too quick with how much weight is on my camera setup, right? So moving on from the actual camera, let's talk more about the gimbal. I'm running a DJI RS4 Pro Ronin gimbal, and I love this gimbal. I love the ability to go from vertical to horizontal in a matter of like a minute if you know how to calibrate your gimbal fast enough. Super versatile gimbal, supports a lot of weight. I think it's like up to 10 pounds, which is amazing. Has more torque than the RS3 Pro, which is a nice little boost. So moving on from the actual gimbal, let's talk about the actual power supply, how this entire thing functions. I am running a 198 watt-hour V-mount battery on the very bottom that is attached to a small rig adapter plate, like power supply plate for the DJI Ronin. This works super well. It's pretty secure for only having one screw at the bottom, but you're not putting too much torque on the battery ever, so it's not really ever an issue. From the actual V-mount, I am running a 4-way D-tap splitter, so I'm able to power 4 devices. One, of course, is going to be the actual gimbal. The second is going to be the monitor, and occasionally I will run a D-tap to a battery inside my FX3, but I don't like doing that. It's just too many cables. You'll see very quickly that there are a lot of cables that run into this rig, so I like to keep it as minimal as possible. So moving on from the actual power supply of the entire rig, let's talk about the actual where you hold it. So on the right arm I have the focus. No, I don't have the I have the Scarl, would you like to say something?
Hello YouTube, it's your father for Scarl again. Yeah, I like turns and stuff, and then I do wheelies, and this gets it on film, so this is really great. Also, check out this sick hoodie.
Ride Initiative is a clothing company that Scarl and I and a couple other riders started. We have a Black Friday sale going on. Don't miss out. Anyways, thanks for attending the commercial break for Scarl. So moving on, let's actually talk about how we operate this gimbal system. So on the right hand side, I have a control grip from DJI. I'm able to control the motors. I'm able to control the modes, so whether it's pan, tilt, follow, all those sweet modes. As well as you have a dial on the back that you're able to use to either roll the camera or you can use to focus. And for the longest time, I used this to manually focus pull for all of my shots. But recently, as you'll notice on the left-hand side, I have the new DJI LiDAR Focus Pro, and this thing's sweet. I'm loving it so far. It's a lot easier to set up than I thought. I thought it was gonna be super daunting, but it works super great. The only thing I'm concerned about is running a matte box on it, as it might get in the way of the actual camera. But I honestly think I'm going to stop using matte boxes because they're just so big, they catch wind, and most of the time I'm in pretty windy situations, especially if I'm filming rollers. So I think we can all agree matte box might go away. Anyways, the LiDAR system is pretty sweet. We have that on top of FX3, loving it. As well as you'll notice on the left-hand side, I'm running my Atomos Ninja 5 that is connected to the top handle. And boy, I love this monitor. I've had it for about 2 years now and it works like a charm. So now that you know all about the rig, let's talk about the pros and cons of it. Let's start off with the pros. So number one, as you might have noticed, this rig is super compact. For the amount of features and accessories you have in this single rig is pretty impressive. And this makes it super easy to get super low angle shots, which I love. I love low angles, which you could not do with the Tilta Advanced Ring Grip or any grip system which you see very commonly. Controlling the camera is actually super easy. It doesn't take that much to set up. You only have to turn on about 2 to 4 switches to get everything up and running, and that takes me maybe 5 seconds to get everything up and running. I love this rig. I love how compact it is, everything about it. However, let's talk about some drawbacks. I will say this is a very cable heavy rig, especially with the LiDAR system. LiDAR adds another 2 or 3 cables to the whole mix, and that's just not good for me. As you can see, it's very cluttered. Doesn't look very professional, but does provide very professional results, which is what I care about the most. Let's also talk about actually handling this. If you ever want to take one hand off of the grips, you have to be kind of on the more skeptical side, because number one, you're putting all that weight onto one grip, which is held in by a hot shoe mount, may I mind you, so it's not like it's super secure. But if you torque it pretty good and you don't mess it up and you keep an eye on it, it's not just gonna fall out all of a sudden. So, but actually being able to touch the camera while you're holding it is pretty hard, unless if you go to the gym a lot, because it gets pretty heavy. So because it's so hard to handle the actual rig with one hand, I usually end up wearing a belt to all of my shoots, and I'll rest the V-mount on my actual belt, and that makes it super easy, takes all the weight off. I'm able to move my hands wherever I want and change whatever I need to change, whether it be the iris, whether it be the monitor, and where it positions, and that works pretty well. So that's the only drawback as far as how it's actually configured, is you might have to wear a belt or find out some other support system, but I find that a belt or a fanny pack works super well. But yeah, I think that concludes most of the rig, and probably one of the most in-depth explanations I've ever gave on it. So if you have any other questions, feel free to comment, feel free to DM me on Instagram. I'm way more active there. I'm not on Facebook at all, really. I'm not on TikTok that much. So best way to reach me is in the YouTube comments or DMing me on Instagram. Before you go, make sure to check out Ride Initiative. It is a brand made by creatives and motorcycle influencers for riders, and I think it's a really cool brand. We use the highest quality material, we ship super quick, and also have great customer service. So make sure to check out our website and get some sick merch.
And Adams Media made all the designs for the graphics.
I did make all the designs for the graphics.
They're sick!
They're pretty sick, bro, so check them out. And yeah, with that being said, I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll catch you guys next time.